Authorities, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jean-Claude Delen, Treasurer of FIATA. I'm also one of the FIATA past presidents, and I have extensive experience in the African air freight market from the point of view of a large multinational service provider. I live in Brussels. You see surrounding me the Brussels airport, which is one of the best connected airports to Africa in Europe. Let me give you some information about FIATA and why it is important for us to send the message at this point in time in the African air transportation development. FIATA is the International Federation of Freight Forwarders Associations. It is a non-profit, non-governmental organization established in 1926. FIATA represents over 40,000 forwarding and logistics companies in more than 150 countries. FIATA members are involved in logistics by forwarding goods by air, marine and land transport. FIATA Air Freight Institute represents the interest of more than 10,000 accredited air freight forwarders who are responsible for handling some 85% of international commercial air cargo. The FIATA statutes stipulate our obligations in enhancing safety and security compliance, improving efficiencies through standardization and facilitation instruments, vocational training and awareness programs. FIATA has consultative status with various United Nations bodies and international trade organizations, and in particular in this case with ICAO. The continuity with one of our most important gatherings, the headquarters session, which closed its doors on Sunday, made it impossible for me to travel to the splendor of Madagascar, whom I know personally very well. But rest assured that our heart is with you. Since the Yamoussoukro decision in 1999, FIATA and its membership prepared for the liberalization of intra-African air transport. A number of years went by, but its full implementation is yet to be achieved. Many are the reasons one could evoke to explain the delay: insufficient cooperation, differing priorities, and the absence of unity amongst industry players. Fact is that the intra-African air transport is not yet liberalized. The Togo Declaration, newly inked in August 2014, has now come to make the horizon clearer by way of engagement of stakeholders, which continues to inject new and greater hope in our African membership. The Togo Declaration carries with it much promise, seeking to allow carriers to operate freely between points within Africa and increase connectivity with the rest of the world, offering improved security and facilitation amongst the many objectives outlined in the Declaration. FIATA and its membership support the Togo Declaration in its goal to identify regulatory and operational solutions for the development of air cargo. Our suggestion is that we learn from the experience of the past during the pursuit to enact the frameworks set out in the Yamoussoukro decision. One of elements missing on the way was the lack of unity among stakeholders, which should drive the process when implementing such agreements. In order to ensure key stakeholders are represented during this implementation, FIATA proposed involving regional bodies in the African Union. More specifically, the need to approach regional economic communities, RECs, such as Arab Maghreb Union, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, Community of Sahel States, East African Community, Economic Community of Central African States, Economic Community of West African States, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, Southern African Development Community, and one particular community headed up by COMESA and the EAC and the Executive Secretary of the SADC, the Tripartite Task Force, consists of 26 members, comprising of 57% of the African Union. The regional bodies harmonize various programs and increase buy-in of member states. They hold strong partnership with the African Development Bank to enact programs focused on expanding and integrating trade and include the establishment of free trade areas, FTAs. The success of the task force over the year has clearly highlighted the importance of regional cooperation in regard to the implementation of agreements. At the current stage, the regional economic communities, RECs, are central to the strategy for implementing the new Partnership for Africa Development, NEPAD, which aims to provide an overarching vision and policy framework for accelerating economic cooperation and integration among African countries. The Togo Declaration needs to be incorporated into NEPAD's agenda to allow to facilitate coordination amongst the regional economic communities and ensure proper implementation from within the African Union. FIATA is optimistic that this new approach will increase the likelihood of success and contribute to creating greater prosperity in the African continent through better trade. FIATA remains available to discuss any of these key points with the institution and the other stakeholders in the African region, with a view to the facilitation of African trade, in particular air freight. I wish to thank all of you for your attention, and ICAO in particular for inviting us to provide our views during this prestigious gathering. Thank you and goodbye.